Prince Harry has lost his most critical court case yet, and this is against RAVEC, which determines who gets Met security within the United Kingdom. Particularly, we're talking about very high-level members of government, so the cabinet, and obviously members of the royal family. And it was determined that essentially Harry gets some protection as needed, but he doesn't deserve the full-time protection apparatus every time he's in the UK, like he's essentially demanding. And of course, the petulant prince is going to continue that court case into appeals and probably looking at a hefty $1 million plus legal bill from just the government alone. But this court case was just so critical of Harry to lose. Now, I'm not saying that his family doesn't deserve to be safe if they do, but Harry also needs a reality check, and so does Meghan. Yes, they are high-profile public figures, but are they really any different than any other celebrity at this point? I mean, Taylor Swift has a huge international profile. In fact, you could argue maybe she's one of the most famous women in the entire world. More famous than Meghan Markle, by the way, and infinitely more influential. So why do Harry and Meghan deserve this massive security apparatus every time they're in the United Kingdom, when the risk is no greater than any other minor member of the royal family? And this is what Harry and Meghan have failed to account for, is that their further irrelevance as time goes on within the royal sphere. Even Omid Scobie said they are constitutionally irrelevant, and yet they can't seem to get that factor into their minds. They still think they are as important as the rest of the royals, particularly Catherine and William and the king and queen, but they're not. And RAVEC's decision here tells Harry and Meghan very firmly that no, oh no, you guys are only going to be treated as other members of the royal family are, as other high-profile members of the public are. You guys are not as special as you think you are. And I think this was a critical message for Harry and Meghan to learn. Even if they tried to do sort of a Hail Mary at the end, trying to morph their NYC car chase scenario, twisting that into some sort of critical testimony for the court, it just didn't work. And so we are going to go over this today because this case, we have been waiting for this result, and this was the result that was needed. I was saying if any court case Harry is in right now, I think he deserves to lose pretty much all of them. But in particular, this one, because there are very big implications for what Harry is asking. And Harry just needs an absolute huge reality check, and he got it today. But if you guys haven't been to Royal News Network, my name is Brittany, and I provide y'all compelling royal commentary about the latest news and sometimes the drama going on behind the scenes. So if you guys would like to hit that subscribe button, that would be fantastic. I'm trying to get to 150,000 subscribers here really soon. The 2-year anniversary of the channel is next week, and I can't believe this. I started this channel with a little hope and a dream and a lot of hard work, and it just did so well, and I'm just so thrilled and excited by that. So thank you guys so much for all your support. And we were able to confirm the Scotland trip. So we are officially going to Scotland. So any of you guys who have signed up, I am so excited. We can begin making official travel arrangements and everything. And if you guys still want to come on that trip, we still have, I think, well over a month for people to sign up. So if you guys are interested, feel free to check that out. I'll try to remember this time. I say it every time and then I forget to put a link up there for you guys to follow, and I'll have one, of course, down below as well. And I also have a sponsorship with Ana Lucia Diamonds, so you guys see my hoop earrings right here, like diamond studs. I love them. And then I also have a charm bracelet. This is Diamond Girl with a little diamond in it. These are lab created diamonds, and I have 2 rings as well. So if you guys are interested, all of that will be available down below in the description box. And if you use code ROYAL20, you do get 20% off. Okay, so this court case, I remember seeing the news when I got up this morning, and I was like, yes, oh yes, Harry finally lost this one. Because this is the one we were all waiting for, because many people had posited that what Harry really wanted out of this case was his and Meghan's internationally protected person status back, which essentially means that anytime they're in any foreign country, because they have these elevated profiles, they get security from that local government. So for example, Meghan Markle, when she came here for her baby shower, she actually got diplomatic security from the State Department to augment her UK security. And when Catherine and William come, same things happen. King Charles, Queen Camilla, any foreign royals probably get something similar as well, and obviously any foreign dignitaries. But when it comes to royals, this should really be done only within, I mean, for the most part, within constraints of royal work. Not necessarily a high profile million or so baby shower that was there purely for merchandising purposes and to show off your very, very expensive lifestyle. That was what was so incredibly bad about Meghan Markle's baby shower in New York City. It was just so flashy, so gaudy, so obviously meant to attract attention. I just hate the fact that my taxpayer dollars were used to help a woman have $1 million baby shower that she could have had in London and didn't need to have all this extra security because everybody who went there was super rich. So why couldn't they all? Again, huge issue about that. So when it comes to this court case, obviously Harry was arguing for something very particular. So he wanted a couple things. He wanted to know who denied him the security because he really needed to know, because he probably wanted to find their phone number and yell at them about it. Because again, him and Meghan are so incredibly important that you cannot deny them security for any stretch of the imagination. And then we also had that Harry allegedly wanted to pay for it, which was sort of in contention because apparently he didn't make, or somebody didn't make this statement available to the Met Office to begin with. It came about later and there was some confusion about that, but still it just wasn't a great look because Met security is really meant for particular situations and particular people. It's not just meant for who is now a glorified celebrity in Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. So anytime they come to the UK, they are essentially treated like royalty. They're treated the same as royalties. They go through in car convoys and get Met security protection and all these sorts of things, which are really a drain on the system. That is what Harry and Meghan wanted. And Harry said, well, it's too risky for my family, even though they live in California, which can be a pretty crime-ridden place in some places. So I just don't understand why their risk is so much higher in the UK when I would argue it's probably actually higher in California. So it just doesn't make any sense. But this was really all about, I think at the end of the day, Harry and Meghan's delusional beliefs in how important they are. They wanted to be treated as important. And Harry and Meghan, of course, they made the stupid decision to initiate Mexit. And Mexit was a decision they made to leave the royal family when they thought they could get everything they wanted. They wanted to continue doing tours on the taxpayers' dime. They wanted to continue doing the fun engagements, not like the boring ones. And they wanted this full-time security. And RAVEC, which determines who gets this, had to look at their case and go, well, no, you guys don't really need it because you don't represent anything else but your own business interests. And I think that is what was so critical about this case, is making sure it was made clear to Harry and Meghan that no, you are not as special as you think you are anymore. And this is overall part of the process of royalty. As time goes on, if you are not in the direct line of succession, so you're not the heir, future heir, whatever, your importance and relevance diminishes over time. Now, there's two routes you can go with this. You can do the Princess Anne route, which is to say, okay, I'm not going to be queen, but you know what? I'm going to be the best darn working royal in the whole family. I'm going to create this great profile and I'm going to love serving my country, which is what she's done. She's been a marvelous success at that. Or you can go the Prince Harry and Prince Andrew route, which is to become petulant, bratty children that all of a sudden you realize now as an adult, after this has been told to you for years, that yes, you won't be as important. You always get the sense sometimes that they feel like this is a shock all of a sudden. It's like, I'm not important, but it's like that's sort of the reality. Like everybody kind of knows this. I've been watching royals for years and years, and you see this all over the royal families. Yes, at particular times, the adult children of the monarchs, no matter where they are in the line of succession, are important. But as the next generation comes up, the other members of the family slowly get pushed back down in terms of their engagements. Now, some of them leave for other reasons and various sorts of things, but this is across the board what happens everywhere. The Brits are not immune from this, neither are Harry and Meghan. But again, they believed they were so stinking important that they needed, every time they came to the UK, this huge security apparatus, which is what Harry was asking for essentially. And RAVEC at the end of the day had to argue their case and say, no, we made the appropriate decision based on Harry's place in the line of succession, his desire for a quote-unquote private life, and all these sorts of things, which really didn't make it possible for him to have what he wanted, because at the end of the day, Harry, these are taxpayer funds. Even if, let's say, Harry and Meghan paid, quote unquote, for their own security. I fully believe that somewhere the taxpayers of the UK would eat the cost for something. I don't know if it would be for gas. I don't even know if it would be for overtime, like a brief call at home, a secretary working a little later, something like that. At some point, taxpayer dollars would be expended to help Harry and Meghan because they need this full-time team. Now, to be fair as well, we do want them to be safe. And every time Harry comes to the UK, he has the opportunity to give RAVEC 28 days notice to evaluate potential security risks and determine if there is one. Because I am of the opinion of this. I think Harry and Meghan, yes, were there some threats that maybe existed? Yeah, probably. But I think they were really, really overblown. I think they were massively inflated in order to fuel Harry and Meghan's egos because they really do think they are the most important royals in the world. So let's get into what the court said here because it's so important and I love it. And obviously the Home Office was very, very excited about these results. So it says, and this is from the Times, it says, Mr. Justice Lane dismissed the Duke's application for a judicial review of the decision. So this is obviously the RAVEC decision to pull his security, criticizing his inappropriate formalist interpretations of the process Royal and VIP Executive Committee, RAVEC, which rules on security issues. So basically he said, well, Harry, you're wrong here. You're not even interpreting this correctly. And Harry gave like a whole slew of things that he thought were interpreted right in his opinion. And looking through them, I think the court was right. The court has to determine again what is best for the people, for the government. And Harry treats the UK and the court system in the UK as his vindication machine. It is there to vindicate him. It's there to take vengeance for him. It is his little monster. And obviously he has determined that he is slaying dragons, but I think again, the dragons are really starting to eat him. They're really starting to set him on fire. So sometimes maybe here you get a little burned. And obviously the Home Office, like I said, was very thrilled by this decision. It said, we are pleased that the court has found in favor of the government's position in this case, and we are carefully considering our next steps. It would be inappropriate to comment further. The UK government's protective security system is rigorous and proportionate. It is our long-standing policy not to provide detailed information on those arrangements, as doing so would compromise their integrity and affect individuals' security. And so obviously Harry strongly disagreed with this decision. Prince Harry's legal team obviously made a response to the decision, and it said the Duke of Sussex will appeal today's judgment, which refuses his judicial review claim against the decision-making body RAVEC, which includes the Home Office, the Royal Household, and the Met Police. Although these are not labels used by RAVEC, 3 categories as revealed during the litigation comprise the RAVEC cohort: the role-based category, the occasional category, and the other VIP category. The Duke is not asking for preferential treatment, but for fair and lawful application of RAVEC's own rules, ensuring that he receives the same consideration as others in accordance with RAVEC's own written policy. In February 2020, RAVEC failed to apply its written policy to the Duke of Sussex and excluded him from a particular risk analysis. The Duke's case is that the so-called bespoke process that applies to him is no substitute for that risk analysis. The Duke of Sussex hopes he will obtain justice from the Court of Appeals and makes no further comment while the case is ongoing. Again, Harry comes off as petulant, whiny, and bratty in these statements, I think, because it just sounds like he just doesn't get it. Yes, oh yes, he has a high public profile, but again, is his public profile any higher than that of Taylor Swift? Any higher than that of, let's say, I don't know, Kanye West, Angelina Jolie, Brad Pitt, like so many other people I'm trying to think of right now, that why does he need this extra additional security? And he does argue because his father is king and everything like that, but Princess Anne does not get 24-hour security, neither does Prince Andrew, neither does Prince Edward, and they were all children of Queen Elizabeth II, obviously. So why did they not get full-time security? Yet Harry is demanding it now. And obviously Andrew and his daughters did at one point. But as time went on, and as their importance diminished, the government's like, well, we have to reevaluate, and it's really not worth our time to expend money in this area. And so Andrew had to hire his own security. And of course, Harry can get his own security if he wants to, and he can have it there. But it's not going to be as, let's say, flashy as what the Met can provide, which is vehicle convoys, all sorts of things that make Harry feel like a super happy boy. And then it goes on to say, in terms for Harry, it says the Duke's lawyers argued that he was singled out and treated less favorably than other VIPs. The court was told that Harry believes his children cannot feel at home in the UK if it is not possible to keep them safe there. But Harry, they're never there. How will they ever feel like it is home if they never visit? Now, again, you're citing security, but is that really what's going on here? Because again, I feel like they would be probably perfectly safe for the most part. And what Harry does and Meghan do is that they conflate individual situations and label everybody as that. So yes, there may have been a paparazzi at the Well Child Awards who may have followed you in his car. I've seen the video of that. I don't know if I can find it. It's like very, very brief, like hardly anything worth commenting on at all, really. But that is the life celebrities lead, and that's a life you've chosen. Again, this is all about Harry and Meghan's decisions. They decided to leave. They decided they wanted to be celebrities, not royalty. Why does the government have to treat them like royalty when they are celebrities? Again, the government cannot justify that. Shahid Fatima KC, representing Harry, said the risk he faced arises from his birth and ongoing status as a son of the king. She said the case was about the unlawful treatment of the Duke. This case is about the right to safety and security. She added, there could not be a right of greater importance to any of us. But I would argue Prince Harry has put his own family's lives at risk by airing his dirty laundry. Meghan made the allegation that Catherine made her cry, and obviously that ended up in negative reactions to Catherine. We had the racism allegations against members of the royal family as well. And so Harry and Meghan have done a lot to increase the security risk around other members of the royal family. And then they complain that they're not safe. I'm like, but who's really safe here? Who's really causing the most harm? It's not really the royals. It's Harry and Meghan. Harry and Meghan are the risks. Harry and Meghan are pushing all these things that are resulting in more risk to the whole family, because there was an attempted assassination around Christmas in, I believe it was 2021. I think it was 2021, during the last year of Her Majesty's life. And the person cited a historically, you could call it racist event, perpetrated by the British against people in, I believe it was Pakistan or something like that. And you could argue that perhaps because of the racism allegations made by Harry and Meghan earlier that year on Oprah, that influenced this guy to go after the Queen in December. It was the same year. Now, I'm not saying that's definitive, but again, Harry and Meghan seem to only ever care about themselves, never anybody else in their security scenarios. And of course they go into, well, what if Harry is attacked? It'll look bad on the government. So this says, appearing to criticize the Duke's assertion that RAVEC had failed to consider the impact of a successful attack, he said the impact both at home and abroad of a successful attack on particular individuals lies at the heart of the rationale for RAVEC's existence. It would be bizarre if the highly experienced chair of RAVEC making a decision about the claimant would not have had in mind the consequences of a successful attack. RAVEC was plainly under no obligation to adopt an explicitly comparative exercise of the kind for which the claimant contends, and to draw only the conclusion that the claimant wished to see. So RAVEC is not making this decision lightly. Obviously, they see all sides to this scenario, but they're saying, really, Harry, your risk is not that high. And we can cover you under this bespoke process where basically you tell us when you're coming to the country, we'll do a risk analysis, and if it's merited, we'll give you security. If not, we're not going to do that, because you just don't get it just because you're Harry. You need a particular reason to have it. If not, you need to be treated like every other celebrity out there, which other members of the royal family are. And there was another article talking today about how he's a target of the Taliban. But Harry, you wrote how many combatants you allegedly killed in Afghanistan. Why should everybody else have to pay for your stupid? That is a you problem. You said it. Nobody told you to say that. You said it. You said it, so guess what? You get to deal with the consequences of that. I don't understand why everybody else should have to pay for your decisions. That is what that's telling me. Again, he just doesn't seem to ever conceptualize that something is his fault and he has to suffer the consequences of that. He just never ever seems to get that, and neither does Meghan. And so here's a longer explanation of the judge's decision, which I thought was really good. It says, Mr. Justice Lane also said the Duke's criticism of RAVEC's approach fails to engage with the nature of RAVEC's decision making. He said RAVEC was not only entitled, but obligated to approach matters on a case-by-case basis as regards certain cases, given their exceptional characteristics. RAVEC was plainly under no obligation to adopt an explicitly comparative exercise of the kind for which the claimant contends and to draw from it only the conclusion that the claimant wished to see. So again, Harry is obviously not considering implications of anything that he's doing here. It's all, again, needlessly self-serving. And the judge rightly calls him out on this. You are covered if you need to. If you're not, you don't get the security. You are going to be fine. Harry's, again, insistence that he needs this massive security, I just don't think is based in reality. I think it's based in fantasy and illusion. And we also see that Harry, again, is using his mother to justify this. His mother, who didn't die because of RAVEC issues, she died because of a drunk driver. Cannot say this enough. She died in a drunk driving accident, and also if she had been wearing her seatbelt, which I don't understand why Harry doesn't tell people, because if you are really that impacted by your mother's death and wanting other people to avoid that catastrophe, shouldn't your number one thing be everybody must wear a seatbelt? You all should wear a seatbelt. He could do great campaigns on that. Does he? No, because he's obsessed with the lie that the media told about Diana's death. Because the reality, I think, is so much more important, that drunk driving kills and wearing your seatbelt. Those are like just two very, very important lessons that I feel like Harry could share with the rest of the world that could save lives. What he's doing is not going to do that. But again, all of it's driven by his understanding of Diana based on media reports, not what actually happened, media reports. Diana, because of the paranoia she was under a bit, because of all the things she had been told from the Panorama interview and everything, had declined Met security that she was allowed to have. And because of that, she did get in the car with a drunk driver. Those things could all be mitigated, but not the way Harry is prescribing. So he argues in his letter regarding this whole RAVEC situation, and this was in his initial court case, he says the letter asked who would be willing to put him and his family in a position of extreme vulnerability and risk, a position that no one was willing to put my mother in 23 years ago. And yet today, with greater risk as mentioned above, with the additional layers of racism and extremism, someone is comfortably taking account for what could happen. I would like to take that person's name who is willing to take accountability for this choice, please. Again, Harry's not living in reality there. He's not living in reality. Diana could have had that protection. She declined it, and she suffered the consequences of that. That's not pretty. That's not what you want to hear, Harry, but that is the truth there. And Harry and Meghan, again, they need to deal with truth, because that's even going to help them in their security team and everything. If they're constantly looking at shadows and freaking out, then they might miss an actual risk because they're so focused on looking to the right, they never look to the left. And then we also have the judge talking about Harry's concern over travel notice. Sir Peter was scathing about the Duke's assertion that it was irrational to ask him to give 28 days notice of any travel to the UK. There is no merit in this contention, he added. It arose from the need to be able to address a redacted of the kind belatedly given by the claimant to RAVEC in relation to the June-July 2021 visit. What we found out as well is that during the Sandringham summit, the royal family basically said that Harry would probably need additional security for a time and argued that they would ask to perhaps continue his Met security. But RAVEC, again, it's not the royal family. It is a government-controlled system that's looking at costs and taxpayer funds going, we can't allow a petulant prince who's not even living here, not even fulfilling royal duties anymore, to be a burden on the taxpayers. It just can't happen. But Harry and Meghan, again, they just don't seem to get that message. And in order to try to sell their case, this is delicious, Harry and Meghan's Hail Mary was to try to bring up the paparazzi chase, the alleged paparazzi chase in Manhattan in May, which seems more and more now like a bit of a plant, and particularly a way to show RAVEC, hey, they're at high risk. But the more I look at that case as well, I also think to myself, was it that the paparazzi were really that bad, Or was it that Harry and Meghan's security team was that incompetent? Because what you have as well in that situation is that they drove around and around and around because they didn't want people to know where Harry and Meghan were staying. But we know where pretty much every celebrity lives in New York City. So obviously there was something you didn't want us to know about that. But they dragged it on because they didn't want to do that. And so it's like, so did you guys have no other plans? Like, why didn't this go about? And guess what, New York City residents? Now you will be on the hook for some of Harry and Meghan's security expenses while they're in the city. So this was in the letter from the NYC police about Harry and Meghan's experience with the paparazzi in May. It says, we found the following: reckless disregard of vehicle and traffic laws and persistently dangerous and unacceptable behavior on the part of the paparazzi during the night in question, the chief intelligence wrote, according to the Daily Beast. The individuals operated vehicles, scooters, and bicycles in a manner that forced the security team, which included an NYPD lead car, to take evasive actions on numerous occasions and a circuitous route to avoid being struck by pursuing vehicles or trapped on side blocks. Our conclusion, upon review with the Manhattan District Attorney's Office, is that we have sufficient evidence to arrest 2 individuals for reckless endangerment. But the NYPD has not arrested anyone in connection with the incident and probably won't. And actually, we have some updated things on this since I initially recorded this video, because we have found out that really the information provided by Harry and Meghan, allegedly from NYPD, was pretty minimal regarding the incident, and that really they had no ability to arrest anyone regarding it. It definitely seems like Harry and Meghan exaggerated the conclusions that the NYPD came to, and also the New York Post is also saying that Harry and Meghan essentially did also contribute to the quagmire that was the whole paparazzi chase in May. And I remember reading that at the time, I believe, and I definitely think it's still true. I think Harry and Meghan are vastly responsible for this whole chaos because they were the ones who refused to go back to wherever they were staying. They let it go on and on. If the paparazzi could get their shots and get them going home, they would have left them alone. So I think Harry and Meghan definitely exaggerated that. Once again, it feels like very much a plant to get that security back. So this is an interesting update and obviously calls into question, again, Harry and Meghan's credibility. There's probably lots of reasons why this case never went to court and doesn't deserve to. But again, it's this whole Harry and Meghan thing. They're just not recognizing any of the reactions to their decisions because Meghan Markle was eating it up when the paparazzi were there. She ate it up. And much like Diana, the reality for Princess Diana was she enjoyed having the paparazzi, the photographers there in certain instances, and then she wanted them to go away. But the problem is that once you invite them in, they don't really want to leave because they could get more content, they can make more money. And so Princess Diana was like, well, okay, I wanted you here now, but now I want you to go away. And they're like, well, honestly, we're making money. Why would we go away? And then she would get irritated. And it's like, you feel the same thing with Harry and Meghan. And so they're repeating the same mistakes and yet blaming everybody else. But Diana also went through the same thing. And could they not learn any lessons? Catherine and William don't invite the paparazzi to different things. And guess what? They're generally not followed. They're generally not followed. And it also goes on to say the NYPD also said that there would have been changes in security provided to Prince Harry and Meghan on future visits to the city following the May incident. The couple returned to the city in October for events surrounding World Mental Health Day. So yes, NYC residents, you are going to be there on the hook for some of Harry and Meghan's security, your taxpayer dollars. Isn't that lovely? Exactly what you want. And yes, perhaps there was an incident that occurred, but again, I don't know how much Harry and Meghan actually contributed to that situation. And so all in all, this though is a great decision. I believe Harry probably will lose once again on appeal, and he will be on the hook, get this, for probably close to $1 million just for the government's legal costs. That's not to mention his own. His own will probably be more. So he's probably on the hook somewhere, probably $2.5 million. And he's already on the hook for, I think, $750,000, like maybe another $1 million somewhere. He's going to start eating a lot of legal bills and costs pursuing all this litigation. And it's like, well, you could just get on with your life and stop litigating everybody, because Harry and Meghan, there's been a lot of reports now about the Netflix deal and that falling apart. There's an interesting story in the wrap. I think I'm going to do an interesting video on Meghan and her inability to entertain in ways that she wants to. And Harry and Meghan are failing in Hollywood. So what you don't want is when you're starting to bleed money, when the mega deals you were looking for are starting to dry up, what you don't want to be on the hook for is massive, massive legal bills, which Harry and Meghan will B, Harry and Meghan have a huge problem. They need to stop bleeding money. They need to let go of these ridiculous court cases and getting back to doing the simple things like working for a living. So guys, let me know what you think of this video. Let me know what you think of this successful court case. I'd love to get your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye.